All right, we are now live. I love that this is becoming a weekly occurrence for us.
I like that. I mean, Brady, it's like, doctor means teacher. And I see so many times that doctors, it's more like they think the word doctor means dictator, and they tell their patients what to do instead of teaching their patients how to optimize their life and let them decide for themselves what route to take. And I think part of this podcast that we do every week allows people to have be more informative and say, look, there may be another route that I can take. And there's actually doctors out here who can help me with some of these health problems and if we don't tell them, nobody else is, because all they're going to see on TV is just take more drugs and that's ask your doctor about Lyrica, or whatever.
Right. I'm glad you brought up Lyrica, because that's the direction I'd like to steer this conversation today, is about neuropathy. But I do want to point out that you're 100% right. The doctor actually does mean teacher, not dictator. And if your doctor is not leading from the front and not practicing what he preaches, you need to freaking find a new doctor.
We're out there. I mean, we are out there. And I think part of the problem too is that doctors a lot of times try to intimidate their patient. I mean, I literally, Brady, had a patient, this was about a year ago, and said, look, if you go in to see Dr. Barlow, you will never come back into this clinic again. They had bilateral knee pain.
Yeah.
And I said, well, the reason they didn't want you coming in here is because the reality of it is you don't need knee replacement. There's no problems with your knee. It's coming from your lumbar spine. But they just about had this patient believing that they needed total knee replacement. And I said, the reason they didn't want you to come in here is because they knew someone was going to find out, hey, this doctor is not really performing ethically. He's just trying to do a surgery to get paid. And I'm never going to treat a patient like that. So
I'm the same way as you. I just refuse. Like, it's not, neuropathy. For people who have it, they know exactly what we're talking about. But for people that don't, basically neuropathy is a symptom that creates burning, numbness, and tingling in your hands and feet. And you go to the doctor, and the doctor will just say, well, here's Lyrica, here's gabapentin. Let's just take your entire nervous system, and let's just dumb down your nervous system so you can't feel
anything.
And, oh, by the way, there's nothing you can do for it. So you're just going to have to learn how to deal with it. And that's what we hear on our end. So when we come around and say, oh, no, there's people like, Naomi is one patient of mine that comes to mind from several years ago, that she literally, like, when she would travel, she would plan her days around her symptoms. So she would go travel, she would go see the sites in, let's just say London, for example. She'd go to London, she would plan to see the sites for one day and then have 3 days to recover before she could do anything, because her neuropathy symptoms were just so bad. And that was with taking Lyrica. So when we sit down with someone and say, no, there's actually something you can do about this, but the only person responsible for that treatment is
the patient.
It's you. Like, we will show you the right way. It's just, you've got to do it.
Yeah. And again, I mean, I tell my patients this all the time, that no one is ever going to care more for your health than you do. And we can guide people in the right direction. Like for example, if we do a blood test and find out that someone is their A1C is above 5.6, or their blood sugar is even in the insulin resistant stage, this is destroying their myelin sheath. And what myelin sheath is, just think of it. Let's see, I got a little cord here. So I got a little cord here that goes from my computer, and this has a protective sheath around it. And inside here we have wires. And if I take sandpaper, and over time, this is not going to communicate properly with the mainframe computer. And there's nothing wrong with the computer. There's nothing wrong with this headset. It's this wire here is causing an interference between the communication between this keyboard and the computer. And then blood sugar is the same way. Gluten sensitivity is the same way. Inflammation is the same way. It's like, if you can imagine just taking a blowtorch and put it down your nerves, and then we start to have this thing, pins and needles, and then again, instead of regenerating these nerves, is let's take gabapentin and Lyrica, and like you said, let's just slow everything down. And that no one wants a slow brain. we want a quick reactive brain. And so when you think of slow brain, you think of early onset dementia leading into Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. Those are the problem. And again, I want people to understand, gabapentin is not even FDA approved to treat peripheral neuropathy.
It's totally off label.
Yeah, it's FDA approved to treat seizures. So I love it when doctors say, well, I'm in line with the scientific research. No, you're not. If you're giving gabapentin for peripheral neuropathy, it's not FDA approved to treat neuropathy. It's FDA approved to treat seizures. So,
it's when I talk about neuropathy, and I do in the description of this video, I did put a link because I'm actually doing a neuropathy webinar on Wednesday evening. That's 7 o'clock my time, so it's 8 o'clock yours. I'm on Mountain time, so it's 7 o'clock Mountain. And one of the things we talk about is the causes of neuropathy, because people think that diabetes is the only cause.
Yeah.
And there's actually several others. And diabetes just happens to be the most common cause, but there's the chemically induced. That's the neuropathy that I had when I went through chemotherapy. And then everything else gets lumped into this idiopathic neuropathy, which basically means we're idiots and we don't know. But I want to strip that label away, because that's actually what I call an autoimmune mediated neuropathy, meaning your immune system's creating that inflammation. It's creating that sandpaper that's grinding, that's wearing off the sheath around those nerves. And that's what's actually causing your neuropathy. And the only way to fix that is to stop that from happening. And unfortunately, when it comes to neuropathy, most of the people that we're dealing with are the Medicare folks. And Medicare has absolutely nothing to offer when it comes to neuropathy.
Right.
Yes, you see these treatments that come up every now and then that treat the nerves at the feet, but they do absolutely nothing to actually get to the root cause of what's actually causing it. And until you get to that root cause, you may make the symptoms die down temporarily, but you better believe if you keep eating ding dongs and ho hos, it's coming back.
Yeah, that day. Yeah. And I think too that Brady is okay. Someone has neuropathy. Hey doc, I've got numbness and tingling and burning in my feet. And then you take Neurontin, just say, for example. All right, what we have to do in order to bring these nerves back online is we have to stimulate those neurological pathways. And there's not one drug on the planet that's going to do that. So you have to stimulate, just like if I have a weak bicep, I'm going to have to go to the gym and do bicep curls. If I have a weak nerve that goes to my foot, it's just the name of it's just L5 superficial peroneal nerve. And if it's weak and damaged and causing numbness, tingling, and pins and needles, we're going to have to stimulate this neurological system to bring it back online. And what I would love for people to understand too, and this is a little bit complex, and I do apologize about this, but when you're dealing with this numbness, tingling, and pins and needles in your feet, these are real big fat nerves. So think of this like an interstate highway, all right, that's coming out of your back and going down to your feet. Now, so those are 4-lane roads in bigger cities, I know. But all right, so let's just drop down to a smaller road here. Let's talk about a 2-lane road, and that road would still be myelinated. It's a fast road, not as fast as the interstate. But see, in our organs, in our sympathetic nervous system, we have B fibers, and those B fibers are myelinated. So when people have this numbness and tingling and burning in their feet, they're going to have they can have heart problems. They can have breathing problems, digestive problems. Again, see, what happens is this vagus nerve that communicates with your brain. It's an extremely big, fat, healthy nerve that communicates from your brain to your gut. It's going to be damaged as well. All right. And so we're talking about digestive disorders. We're talking about our gallbladder not functioning properly, our liver, our kidneys. So it's not just the end result is I can't feel my feet or my feet are numb, but these organs have to get this myelinated nerve function to them to function optimally. And what I'd like to tell people listening is, see, you almost have to have total organ failure on the inside, about 78 to 80% of damage before you have your first symptom, because these organs don't have pain receptors. So, but yet we have symptoms of heart problems, breathing problems, gallbladder problems, liver problems, kidney problems. And, when you're talking about insurance with Medicare, diabetes, blindness, kidney failure, amputation, and don't worry, your insurance will cover all of those. But if you actually want to solve your problem, you're going to have to take responsibility for that part. But by the time you get to the end stage, don't worry, the government will take care of you.
It's sad, but it's true. We shouldn't talk about what we do.
I mean, people want to know, why will my insurance not take care of this? And I'm like, it will when you get to end stage pathology. That's right. What insurance is designed for. I don't buy car insurance to put gas in my car, or to change my oil, or to rotate my tires. That's not what insurance is for. Insurance is for if I run into a tree or a deer runs out in front of me, like an end stage pathology. That's what insurance is designed for, is end stage pathology, or if somebody has a heart attack or a stroke. That's what it's designed for. But if you want to optimize your life, your medical doctor is there, and most medical doctors, or most, let's just say, primary healthcare providers, which we're lumped in with, most of them, their job is just kind of keep you alive, keep you above ground. And that's fine. I'm just, and you and myself, people aren't looking for us like that just to stay above ground. We're looking to optimize a human being's life. And that's a whole different level of, neurological brain function. It's like, dude, I'm not here just to stay above ground and breathe. I want to function at my peak level every single day. And those are the people that I attract. And insurance is just not going to cover that. Government's not going to help you maximize your life every single day. That's not what they're here for.
Right. The end game is third-party payers just aren't going to profit if you fix them. So
it's unfortunate that it's that way. But the point that I also want patients to understand is that, you pay an insurance company, and this is a for-profit industry, and their job is to keep as much of that money as they can for themselves without getting sued. Right. And so they're going to render the minimum amount of care possible. And if you look at it, why is it that people have all of this health insurance and we have all of these drugs, but yet we're ranked at this point about 30th in the world in overall healthcare? And the sad part is every single, well, I wouldn't say year, but you look at this about every 5 to 10 years, and we keep paying more and getting less of a return. And if that was a business, people would have bailed out of that a long time ago. But I think what happens is, since insurance covers it, people are like, well, that's okay. The doctor did the best he could. But if you pay out of pocket, you're expecting to get maximum return on that. And right. What we do in our clinic, we don't take insurance. So if we actually do accept a patient for care, then we're expecting to see some incredible outcomes if the patient follows our program. But like, for example, gluten sensitivity, I hate to keep beating, that horse up, but again, gluten sensitivity is one of the driving forces of peripheral neuropathy. And if somebody comes in and says, Doc, I need help, I need you to help me. And I go, okay, here's what we're going to have to do. You got to get off bread. You got to get off pastries. You got to quit drinking sodas. And if they can't make those basic changes, I can't do anything for them. It's no different than somebody that's, like starting at the beginning of the year, somebody, let's say, weighs 300 pounds and they go to the gym. They can't flop, their big fat body in front of their coach and say, Doc, our coach, I want to get back down to 175. But you can't keep eating McDonald's and French fries and supersize everything and do that. You can't make it someone else's responsibility to fix you. It's just not going to happen that way.
It's been a while since I've heard you say McDonald's. That made me laugh.
Oh yeah,
it's absolutely right. It's at the end of the day, neuropathy. There is that point of no return. Like there is a point where there's just it doesn't matter what we do. There's nothing that can be done. But that's only a very small percentage of people.
It is.
So it's extremely important that you get checked out by someone who knows what they're doing, and that you are taking recommendations as far as diet, lab testing, et cetera, by someone who knows what they're doing, because you really can reverse this. It really is.
And I can say, if you have peripheral neuropathy and you're going to any doctor or healthcare professional that's telling you what you want to hear, he's not going to change your life. I mean, yeah, I mean, right? I mean, right, Brady? Because your lifestyle, and I call it the Sad and Sal. Those two guys, man, when they get together, they're going to beat some stuff up. So you got Sad coming in, you got Sal coming in, which is the standard American diet and the standard American lifestyle. And if you go to any doctor, and they can't just say change your lifestyle, or change your diet. You need a doctor that's going to sit down with you and say, here's the steps that need to be taken. And again, I mean, it's just, if I were to say one thing that was the most important today on this podcast, again, if you go to a doctor and you have neuropathy and he doesn't tell you something that you don't want to hear, you're in the wrong place. Because if you've got type 2 diabetes and he doesn't give you something besides metformin to treat this, you're in the wrong place. And we got to make some lifestyle changes. You got to have a doctor that knows how to do that. And again, Brady and myself, we have doctors all over the United States that we can send you to. I think it was last Thursday, I sent 3 patients. I'm in Tupelo, Mississippi. I sent one person to Houston, Texas. I sent one to Dallas, Texas, and I can't remember where the other one was, but it was 3 patients that I referred out because of my book, which is right back there and right here. They called me for this and said, "Hey, who do I need to go see?" And I said, these are the doctors that I would not have a problem, or I want to send my mom to if you couldn't come into my clinic. Because when people come in here, I'm going to treat every human being that I see just like my mom, or just like my brother or sister. And I don't know how to treat. And sometimes, like with anything in life, mom, brother, there's some tough love. And that tough love is, I've got to tell you things that you don't want to hear in order to change the quality of your life.
Right. That's our job.
Yep.
Andy, this has been real as always.
I've enjoyed it as always. Yeah.
Well, let's wrap it up for today. Again, there's a link in the description of this video for the webinar that I'll be doing on Wednesday. Andy's book is out and killing it. That is License to Heal. It's on Amazon. I've read it myself. It's fabulous. I think it's the best book that's been written on the subject.
Well,
all right, Andy, I appreciate you. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. Okay.
See you next week. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.